All right, so something nice and simple for the eye. Let's zoom back out. Okay, got something nice and simple on the eye. Again, I just didn't want to come on here and be trying to talk about foundation and my eyes are naked. So what we're going to talk about is foundation and kind of ways to match your foundation, things you want to do to make sure that your foundation shows up in pictures, how to pick out your foundation. I can't remember what the other question was, but either way, just wanted to hop on here and kind of help some people out who had questions about foundation and all that entails foundation. So I'm going to pop on some mascara and then I'm going to show y'all all the stuff I have. Then I'm going to go watch Married at First Sight. So the most important thing is a lot of times people, they purchase foundation, they go to the stores, Sephora, Ulta, MAC, wherever, and they allow the people who work there to match their foundation for them. And if you're completely oblivious as to what to do to match your foundation, that's perfectly understandable. That is what Cousin Chloe is here for, is to help you. People often talk about their not knowing what foundation to purchase, not knowing, hey Jess, not knowing what foundation to purchase, or you buy the foundation and then you take the picture and the flash comes on and your face is white, which is called flashback. So I'm going to give you my tips and tricks when it comes to buying foundation and matching foundation. And again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm just popping on some mascara real quick so I can get to the part that we came here for. Okay, so my current favorite, well, let me start off this way. So I'm going to show you some of my favorite ones that I have, and then I'll do a little explanation. And again, if you have questions, please ask. So my current favorite foundation is the Pat McGrath Sublime Perfection, Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. And this is what it looks like. And the reason I'm holding the cap is I'm down to my last little bit of it, and so I had to kind of break the dispenser on it. But this is, this is basically what it looks like. This is a more pricier foundation. The picture that I posted earlier where I'm holding and I look like I'm naked, which number one, I'm not naked in that picture. I do have on clothes. I just moved my shirt down. Folks was all in my inbox, why are you posting naked pictures? I was not naked. I was proving a point about your skin and your face and your body matching. Was not naked, okay? Either way, so this is my favorite foundation right now, and it is like skin. Like, you put it on, it's literally like skin. That's a part of the name, Skin Fetish. It is on the pricier side. It's probably the most expensive foundation that I've purchased. But again, I bought it. I pretty much use it almost every single day. And I'm just now getting down to like the last little bit of it, and a little bit of it goes a long way. And by the way, I am oily. I have oily skin. So take that into consideration also. Another favorite foundation of mine, and I've used it in a lot of my videos, is the Milani Conceal and Perfect. This is an actual foundation stick. Looks like that. But it does come in a regular, like, pump or whatever you call it, bottle. But I bought this to have something to be quick and on the go. Then I have 4 favorites. My third favorite is the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop foundation. If you're an oily person, this is like, I don't like saying the word like plaster, but you put it on, you shout through about 3 or 4 services, and your face still gonna look good. This I use in the summertime though. And then my other one, which is very full coverage, is the Becca Ultimate Coverage 24-Hour Foundation, which is this one. This one is very full coverage, like no flaws, none or whatever. So it covers everything. Okay, so those are my four favorite foundations. Now, when I go into the store and I need to buy a foundation, I usually, like I said, I usually go to Sephora. Milani is actually sold at Ulta, and then sold at like Walmart, Target, and places like that. I don't like saying drugstore, but at your regular stores is where you can find Milani. The Pat McGrath is sold on Sephora only, and then the Pat McGrath website. But when I go into the store, there's a couple things I do. Of course, I look and see what type of foundation it is, whether it's a cream foundation, is it a stick, is it a liquid? I look and see what type of foundation it is. And then what I do from there is I go and I will pick up, we'll pretend this is two different kinds. Actually, they are. But I pick up multiple shades. These are actually two different shades, as you can see. Very subtle difference, but they're two different shades. So I pick up different shades, and I pick up the one where I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, this should be, I think this one is the closest one to my, to my skin tone. And I purposely left this dress on. What I do is I use the dispenser, pump some on the little sponge or whatever, and I put it on my chest. I put it right in the center, the one that I think is my shade. And then what I do is I grab the one that's next to it, before it, and the one that's after it. And I put them right next to the ones, the shade that I think is my shade. I rub them in because a lot of times people will take foundation. I might as well just do it. Let me grab one of these. A lot of times people will go in the store or they'll grab a foundation and they will, hold on. They will just put it on like that. That's not how you wear your foundation. You rub your foundation in. That's how you know, that's how you apply your foundation. You don't just do one line and it sits on top of your skin. That's not what you do. So anyway, so I'll take, and we'll just pretend like this is three different ones. Of course, this is all one of the same. But I rub three different shades, for example purposes, on my chest. So for example, say the one in the middle is the one where I'm like, hey, this is the one I think my shade is. So I rub that one, and then again, I get the one that's right behind it and the one that's right before it. I take a picture. I don't take a selfie in the store. I turn my phone around. I put the flash on and I take a picture. The one that disappears that I cannot see, that's the one that I buy. Now, there's a process where you may run into a situation where none of them actually disappear. None of them match. So in that case, you want to get the one that's the closest possible. Sorry, I'm trying to open up these makeup wipes. I mean, these wipes. You want to get the one that's the closest to your to your skin tone, the closest one possible. Because you can kind of, I don't want to say doctor it up, but you can kind of fix it up a little bit if you have one that's very, very close. Now, things you want to take into consideration is undertones. A lot of times when you read the name or the description of a foundation, it'll say, golden undertones and cool undertones or olive undertones and stuff like that. So you want to take that into consideration. For example, when I first purchased the Pat McGrath, hold on, I have some samples here that I got from Sephora, and that's the other thing I'm going to say is, okay, here, perfect. So samples of, hey. samples are really important. That's why I like Sephora. Sephora will give you a sample of a foundation and you can go home and try it out because you can look at it in different lighting. You can try it with the outfit that you're going to wear. You might be wearing a bright red lipstick. So it's a whole lot of factors. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I wrote some notes down, but they weren't really flowing for me. Either way, so you want to pay attention to the undertones. So when I first went into the store, into Sephora, and this is what I mean by example, they gave me a sample of this foundation right here. And again, sorry about the top. They gave me a sample of this foundation right here. And they gave it to me in 24. I'm 23. This is 24. While it's very close, I'm going to put a little bit on my chest. While it's very close to, hold on, there we go. All right, while it's very close to my skin tone, when I rub it in all the way, it's very, very close. However, when I take pictures with flash, it's red. So it has a redder undertone to it. So when I take pictures, my face looks like darker and redder. Whereas with the actual 23, hold on. See if I can get a little bit out of there. Did it come out? Sorry, I'm trying to do this in the phone and I can't really see. Told you I'm down to my last of it. Whereas with the 23, it's more of a golden undertone. My undertones are more golden. So as you can see, 24 matches, because if I was to take a picture, you would see both of them slightly disappear, but this one disappears way more because of the undertone. So hopefully I'm making some sense. And if you have questions, again, please ask. I'm kind of doing this off of the top of my head, based on my little process. So just to review, you want to make sure you're testing on your chest. Don't test. Some people go and they test right here on the bottom of their cheek. Some people do not test on your wrist or your arm. Is that the same color? No. Like your arm and your face, unless you plan on walking around like this, like, come on. So your arm and your face are not the same color. So you don't want to test your foundation on your arm. The only time I test foundation on my arm is when I'm trying to match a concealer to see how many shades lighter I want to go. That's the only time. But I do not go into the store and put foundation on my arm and be like, oh, I think that's the right shade for me. Because as you can see, two totally different colors. So again, you want to test on the top of your chest when you're testing your foundation to make sure it matches. Now, one of my secrets that I do if I'm going somewhere and it's the daytime, I have a totally different routine than if I'm going somewhere and it's going to be nighttime and it's going to be flash. So what I do is, and if you notice with my NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop foundation, I have two different shades. They're very similar, very, very close. This one I wear kind of in the daytime if I'm going somewhere and it's not going to be flash, a lot of natural light. This one I wear when it's night, if I'm going somewhere and it's nighttime and there's going to be flash photography and things like that. So that's a good tip. Again, a lot of people don't necessarily want to buy two different foundations, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But these are like, I think $12 or something like that each. So, I mean, it's worth the investment. Okay, let's see. So, I think one of the other questions was, what are some easy foundations? I believe was the question. I don't really, I think I saw you in here a second ago, Tiffany. If you're on here, if you could explain exactly what you mean by easy foundation. Hey, you haven't missed nothing. I'm kind of rambling. I don't have a special format. because we're gonna put some of these foundations on in a second. But I actually don't understand what you mean by saying easy foundation, but I would honestly say, to me, all foundations are easy. They just come in different formats. Like I said, this foundation is a stick. It's a stick. Like you rub it on, make a few lines, and you blend it out. Some foundations are creamier than the other ones. So again, I'm not sure what you mean by an easy foundation. Now, for my oily people like myself, if you want something like more full coverage, I'm going to recommend the Becca foundation. Becca is more of your high end. And then the Can't Stop, Won't Stop. This one is actually very buildable. And a lot of these look empty because these are older and I don't really have a use for them right now. But I like to keep them a lot of times for shade references. But the Can't Stop, Won't Stop NYX, you can find this at Target and all those other places. Ulta. This, I will say, even if you are oily, it's really good like for summertime, like when you're gonna actually be like sweating, or Sunday morning if you're a churchgoer and you participate in the service and you sweat a lot and stuff like that. That is what I recommend the Can't Stop, Won't Stop for. If you're oily and you participate in the summertime and you participate in stuff where you're going to be sweating or it's going to be hot, that's what I recommend this foundation for. And then on the flip side, any other time of the year, the Becca is really good. And this can be found at Sephora. I will say the Milani is actually pretty good too, but it's not super full coverage. So to go from full coverage to kind of medium buildable, that's where I would say the Milani falls in. It is, I mean, because with a foundation stick, it can be as light or as heavy as you want it to be. Like right now, if I was in a rush and I pop me 1, 2, 1, 2, a line down the middle, and I'd blend it out and I'd keep it moving. But I can also take it and do 3 lines and, you know, detail it. So you can kind of do a little bit of everything with a stick foundation. And this, I want to say, is $8. I'm going to say it's under $10. I know that much. It's $8 or $9. And again, you can find it pretty much all your local Target, Walmart, Ulta. And the reason I like to actually suggest, of course, we can't go anywhere, go to any stores right now, but I suggest with like your more drugstore brands, your Maybellines, your L'Oreal's, who else? Revlon and stuff like that. With those, go to like an Ulta store because they always have a sample out that you can try versus going to the regular drugstore. Oh yes, I used to wear Naked Urban Decay, and I don't remember why I stopped, but well, I will say this: I have commitment issues when it comes to foundations. I legit will. Some hot and new will come out, and I'm like, I gotta try it. Like I literally have 3 foundations on the way to me in the mail. But don't judge me. Either way. But yeah, so go where you can actually try it or try to, you know, get a sample of it before you use it. And then I would say like an extremely light coverage is, let's see what else I got over here. Cause again, I told you, I don't commit to foundations for whatever reason. A real light to buildable is the Fenty. That's another good one. I do recommend Fenty Beauty. Now, I think one of the questions was, what's a good like everyday foundation? This is my recommendation for that. Only because, well, I guess, again, trying to understand the question per se, but for me, I don't have a like, oh, it's a Tuesday and I'm gonna, you know, use this foundation, because I feel like if you have a foundation, you can kind of you should be able to play with it and do what you need to with it. So if you have a foundation that is most preferably something kind of medium to buildable, which Fenty is like that, then for those quick days, you can, you know, pump, blend it out, throw on a little concealer and get out the door. But then on the days you want to be a little bit more glamorous, you can kind of, you know, pop that on too. Hey, Chloe. Hey, Lindsay. What about, I actually like Clinique. I was getting there. Give me 2 seconds. Hang with me 2 more seconds because I was getting to my Clinique foundation. But like I said, the Fenty Beauty is definitely very versatile. And this is the soft matte longwear one. And she has another one that's kind of more hydrating, but they're both really good. The only thing I will say with Fenty is you have to know your undertones, because the reason I'm not even about to swatch this on myself, number one, is I'm not this shade anymore. And number two, I purchased this, I think, in the summertime, and I was darker. So my actual shade right now is like a 385, and this is 410. So yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt to play with this, but it's very versatile. Like, you can literally make it as light and light and soft as you want, and you can also do some layers and really make it a full beat. Clinique, Lindsay just mentioned Clinique. Where am I got a bunch of samples too. Where's my Clinique? I like Clinique. To answer your question, I like the Clinique because it has built-in, maybe I don't have it. Oh, it's right here in front of me. I like the Clinique, and I will say this, let me back up. For the people who have like issues with, I don't want to say issues with their skin, but things going on with their skin, you want to also look for some foundations that have some kind of what's the word I'm trying to say? That will help with your skin. Skincare, that's what I was gonna say. With some skincare things related to it. So that's something to keep in mind too, is there's no one like cut and dry when it comes to foundation. That's why I think that's also why I like to try a lot of different foundations, because, you know, different foundations as for different things. Like I said, I literally only buy that NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop in the summertime. Like, when I know it's finna get hot, I wait till the middle of the summer, and hopefully I can change a couple of shades depending on what I've done for the summer. And then that's when I will use that. When it starts getting kind of cooler, I put it away because it's too dry for me. But in the summertime, it's perfect. That actually leads me to my other thing. Realistically, you should have about 2 foundations that you should change foundations about twice a year. And I'm not necessarily saying like change brands or anything like that. But if you think about it, depending on where you live, in the summertime, it's hotter, you're sweating, you know, a lot of other things are going on. So you may need some, if you choose to wear, you might even, some people in the summertime decide, hey, I'm going to just wear like a tinted moisturizer or something like that, just to kind of have a little, you know, even out my skin tone, and I don't have to worry about sweating. Whereas some people choose to like, I'm going to be beat 365. So when the summertime comes, I still need to be beat. So that means I still need a foundation that will hang out in this, I'm in Texas, hang out in this Texas heat. But when the winter time comes and the fall comes and the air is drier, and you're going to need something that might be a little bit more moisturizing. That's why, and I learned this the hard way, I will be honest with you, is I was trying to still wear this year round because I found it, I fell in love with it. I was like, oh, I got a foundation, I'm never going to use anything else. And I would say probably into September-ish, I would look at myself in the mirror, and my face would literally just be peeling. My nose would be peeling off, and all around my mouth would be peeling. I'm like, I'm thinking something wrong with the foundation. And then I went to the store, and the lady was like, well, you know, it's winter time. And she's like, your skin is drier, so you need something more hydrating. You can't try to just matte, and put all this heavy matte stuff on your face. So again, you got to take that into consideration. Let's see here. What else? So yeah, so you should be changing your foundation at least twice a year at minimum. Some people do it more than others. I'm one of those people. I probably change mine about 3 times a year, but realistically, at least twice. Like I said, when the seasons change, you know, when it starts getting hot, you should have a different foundation than when it is cooler outside and cold, simply because the temperature is different. Then I would say, I'm just trying to recap for those that kind of joined in. Then I would say definitely when you're going into the store, you want to test on your chest area. Take a picture with flash. Exactly. When the seasons change, your skin tone is changing. Like I can pull up some like realistically, where is it? It's probably empty now. You can't really tell. That looks pretty dark for me, huh? If you look next to my skin, it's empty because I used it all up. This was a summer shade for me. That's how dark I got. So that's something you got to take into consideration too, is literally your skin tone changes too along with the seasons. But I was going to say, so you want to test in your upper chest area. And again, the reason you're testing here is a lot of times people's faces are lighter or darker than their body. So if you're taking a picture and you want everything to look the same and it to match, and you not to have this halo around your face where you have flashback and your face is 10 times brighter than your chest, then this is where you want to match. Do not match on your arm. If you don't want to match on your chest, that's fine. If you want to match your skin tone to your skin tone, that's fine. But do not test on your arm. It ain't the same color. I don't care what shade of life you're in. Your arm is not the same color as your face. Sorry, it's not. So you want to, again, not do that. Pay attention to your undertones. Pay attention to your undertones. And try to explore different shades before you buy. I legit, anytime I go in the store, in Sephora, Ulta, or wherever I go, I hardly ever let anybody help me. That's just me. I go in, I find the one that I want, a brand that I might be looking at, and then I go through my 3 to 4 shades on my chest. I will say this, if you decide to try Fenty Beauty, Fenty has 40 something shades. Fenty is very cognizant. They're very aware of undertones. So my actual shade right now is 385. With Fenty, you got to kind of be careful because Fenty goes on as a liquid. It's very liquidy. It's very watery. It goes on. You have to allow it to dry down to know what the true color is. That's why I also say when you go into a store and you're testing out a foundation, you don't just do that one line. Like literally rub it in to your skin like you would when you put it on your face. Nobody puts foundation and goes blop and then walks out the door. No, you rub it in. So rub it in when you're testing it on your chest. Let it dry down. And then see if that's your color. When you're going to take the picture, turn your camera. If you have front facing flash, more power to you. I don't think my phone does that. But if it does, whatever. Turn your phone, get a good flash. The one you cannot see, that's the one you buy. Okay? Hopefully that answered some questions for you. All right. So I'm going to continue my face. Hopefully that helped you. And I'm going to explain some more stuff. Primers matter. Since we're talking foundation, your primer matters. If you are using a bunch of mattifying, like if you're oily, if you're oily like myself, team oily, whoop, whoop. If you're oily like myself, I don't necessarily use a mattifying primer because if you think about the science behind it, you're putting drying on top of drying on top of drying. It's not gonna have the right effect if you understand what I'm saying. Any of you that have messed with your makeup and you might have put on like a mattifying primer and then you put on a mattifying foundation and then you're putting powder on top of that and you're putting mattifying concealer on, some ain't gonna stick, and then you end up looking like literally like dried out. It's a way to look matte and look clean, and then there's matte to where your face like literally looks dried out. That's where that whole term of like looking cake faced, in my opinion, comes from. But if you truly incorporate some kind of moisturization, hydration rather, into What's the purpose of, I'm about to answer that. If you incorporate some type of hydration or something into the process, then that'll kind of balance everything out. Now, the purpose of primer is to help the makeup to stick to your face. And it also preps your skin to receive whatever makeup you're putting on top of it. People have different types of skin tones, skin types rather. So if you're a person that has really, really dry skin and you're putting foundation on top of it, your face may not react the right way to putting on that primer, putting on that foundation without putting a primer on. Everybody doesn't have to use it. A lot of big time celebrity makeup artists that I follow and have studied and tried to learn from, some of them don't even use primers. But they also use different types of like foundations. They use stuff that's not even available to the regular consumer. So that's the purpose of it. If you think of, I've never done formal painting, like if you paint a house, but you have to put paint primer on to help the paint actually stay on the walls. It's kind of the same thing. So, but there's a bunch of different kinds, but the current one that I use that's kind of universal is the Milk Makeup is the brand, and it's the Hydro Grip Primer, and that's what it looks like. This is the travel size one. They have a bigger one, which after this one, after I'm done with this one, I think I'm gonna break down and get the big one. And it looks like almost like a gel or whatever. So it's really good. And it kind of just preps my skin. And you don't need a lot. Like that was literally one pump. But it helps prep your skin. It helps your foundation to stay on. Of course, you all can't physically feel my face. But if you look, see how my hand is kind of sticking to my face. So hydro grip, meaning it's about to grip that grip that foundation. And that's a good thing, because a lot of times people want something that's going to last throughout the day. So you want to make sure that whatever you purchase, if the purpose is to, you know, for those of us who are, well, when we all go back to work, and well, I'm still working, but when you go back to work and you want to be able to put on your makeup before you leave for work, maybe do a lunchtime little touch up and then be good to go for the rest of your day. That is kind of also what the primer does, is it truly helps stuff stay on. So it has dried on my skin. So usually you put your primer on, you want to let it dry, settle into the skin, and then, you know, go to step 2. Let's see, what am I going to use? I'm going to use my fave. Before I put on my foundation, there's different ways, different brushes and stuff like that to use for your foundation. I actually am in the process of editing my video that goes into, kind of repeats a lot of this in detail, but it's basically kind of a beginner's starter kit of like, hey, these are some of the things that you need. So hopefully I'll get that edited and up this week on my YouTube channel. But you can literally use a little sponge to put on your foundation. You can use different types of brushes. This is just a flat foundation brush. This is probably my personal favorite. There's some that are more rounded. And I can honestly say, and this is just, again, my personal opinion, sometimes it's trial and error. That Fenty foundation, I prefer to put it on with, this is just dirty, don't come like this. But that Fenty foundation, I prefer to put on with a beauty sponge. My Pat McGrath foundation, this foundation I'm about to put on, I prefer to use this flat bristle brush. Funny, the NYX foundation is a little bit creamier. I actually prefer to use this brush. It has more of a dome. It's kind of rounded out, kind of helps you buff it in a little bit more, and you kind of do it in sections. So again, a lot of stuff with makeup, honestly, is trial and error. That's why I strongly recommend to people to, sometimes you just gotta buy it and try it. And honestly, if you don't like it, you can take it back. You can take it back. A lot of times people, they're not gonna resell it. They're gonna, basically, they have to discard of it. But there's no point in keeping a foundation or keeping something that's not the right shade for you, just because you don't want to take it back to the store. And hopefully that'll teach a lot of these stores to start having samples available that you can try. Okay, so put the foundation on the back of my hand, and you kind of want to do it in sections. And I'm just doing short strokes. I'm going to try to do half of my face so you can kind of see what I got going on here. You don't have to put foundation on your lips. I just did that by mistake. Okay. So this is the Pat McGrath foundation. And hold on. Okay. All right. So it's still kind of wet. Hold on. I'm trying to lean and look at my big mirror behind me. Okay. So if you look at my face, look at my face. I don't think I've done a half face before. It looks kind of different. Oh, sorry. One other thing with foundation. Your lighting matters. I have a ring light. I have a mirror with lights around it. I recommend, if you have the ability, I'm actually sitting in front of a window. So when I do my makeup in the mornings, like during the day to go to work and stuff like that, I use the natural sunlight. That is your best lighting. I know a lot of times people will do their makeup in the bathroom and stuff like that. If you don't have the proper lighting in your bathroom, find yourself a window that faces the sun. That is what you actually need. You don't want to be in your bathroom. If you have yellow lights in your bathroom, that will affect how your foundation looks. If you're missing lights in your bathroom, that's going to affect how your foundation looks. So your lighting is very, very, very important. Okay, so I put on half a face of the Pat McGrath foundation. Now, if you look, this basically just looks like I kind of airbrushed myself. Realistically, that's what it looks like. I didn't completely change my skin tone. It just looks like I put on a layer of airbrushing. And that's for those people who say, oh, I want a really natural kind of look. That's what you're looking for. Now, I've also talked to people and they're like, I want something really natural. And I say, well, send me a picture of what you think is a natural look. And they send me a picture of a Kardashian or something like that. It's a whole lot of levels to their natural, to get that type of a natural look. But if you truly want a little bit of your skin to peek through, like you can still see where I have a little darkness around on my face or whatever, you can still see my mole completely, some. So this is real light coverage. It's designed to look like skin. And I don't think I've ever done this, but let me swatch. Hold on. Now, I'm actually gonna, because I'm not going anywhere. Let's do this. I'm going to grab the Becca. And this one is super, super, super full coverage. So I'm going to grab a squirt of that and show you the difference between I want a natural look and I want like full coverage. Okay. So the Becca is full coverage, and I didn't want to use a lot, but if you notice, like you can't even really see my skin. I think I'm low on this. I'm trying to get some more out here. But there we go. Okay, so Becca is a full coverage foundation, and it covers everything. So hold on, I'm trying to blend and not go across my little line here. Okay. All right. So, all right. I think you can see the difference. I'm trying to blend in this phone. So bear with me a second here. Okay. So now you can see the difference. And I've actually, this was just something I impromptu just decided to do. Okay. So a full coverage foundation, as you can see, covers everything. If I had a mole on this side, you wouldn't be able to see. I actually have freckles and stuff up here. But as you can see, they're pretty much, you can see the level of coverage. Natural coverage, full coverage. So a lot of times people will come and say, I want something natural, and but they show me a Kardashian picture. This is what they did. This is full coverage, cover all my sins, everything. So there's a difference. Natural, full coverage. There's nothing wrong with either one. A lot of times people say, oh, I want something that I can be a little bit more glammed up. And usually for those special occasions, sorry, I gotta blend this and make it look like something. For those special occasions, this is when you're gonna pull out the full coverage because you literally want to look flawless. This is like, oh, I just need to kind of clean up, clean up my face a little bit, make something real, for a little everyday look real quick. But this is, y'all ain't what skin, So can you see the difference? Am I making sense? Thumbs up, wave, say something. So you can truly see the difference in the foundations. And then when you're going from foundation to your concealer, that's again going to determine how your end result looks. So again, over here, foundation, flawless, full coverage, can't see my skin. Over here, you can still see my skin, but it still looks clean. And again, you can go either direction with it, and that's perfectly fine. But if you notice, I use two different foundations. Now, I can build up my Pat McGrath foundation to get to this level, but it's going to take some levels, and I'm not trying to waste it like that. So then if you're deciding you want to do something a little bit more natural, that's perfectly fine. You want to grab a powder to set that foundation, a powder that's actually close to the color of your skin tone. Hold on, let me lean over and grab powders. Okay. So when you're dealing with foundation, you always want to make sure you set it using either a loose powder or pressed powder. I use loose powder. I use the Fenty. This is hazelnut. This is close to my skin tone. I use a fluffy brush and to set it. And let me grab some. And all that does is, like, hate to be redundant, but it just sets it. And I'm not doing concealer and all that. I'm just literally showing you how to set that foundation. And all it does is give it just an even smoother look. And I'm barely, like, you can't really see it. Like, you can see I barely have any powder on the brush. So if I was running out of the door, I'd grab that foundation, do me a few pumps all over my face. I'd grab this brush, blend it in real good. I'd grab this brush that's, again, a powder brush, puffier. I'd grab this brush, give me a little powder, set it. I'm out the door. Well, put on a lip, of course. And then I'm out the door. So it's like, oh, you just kind of you look fresh. Your face looks clean. You're good. Over here, same effect, but again, you don't see skin. So that's another thing, is that's the difference between your full coverage and your medium coverage. And I think sometimes people use the term like, oh, what's my everyday? I need an everyday makeup. Well, makeups don't have certain days that they can be worn. But I assume you mean something like this, like something a little bit more natural coverage, something real clean, where I just look like I kind of, you know, stepped out the door real quick. Little quick face, as y'all call it. Whereas over here, this, to some people, this is their everyday. So that's why I said we, you know, terminology of saying like I need a everyday face. You decide what your everyday face is. If you want your everyday face to be more natural looking and show, oh, that went in my eye. More natural and showing some skin, then this is the route you go. If you want something, if your everyday is, I got some skin pigmentations or whatever, and I don't want that to show, then this is the route you go. So your everyday can go many different ways. Lastly, I will say this, and then I'm gonna get off of here, is that you want to make sure that you have a concealer that serves a couple of purposes. People focus a lot of times on having that concealer. Well, let me back up. People focus a lot of times on having the concealer to highlight, and I want to highlight and contour and all that stuff is great. Not knocking it, that's great. But you also need to go back to the old school, we'll just say it, the quote unquote old school way of actually doing your makeup, where you're using concealer to conceal. So have a concealer that is the color of your skin tone, so that in those areas where you actually need a little extra coverage or you actually need to conceal, you already have it. Because a lot of times people go out, they buy foundation, and then they buy the foundation to highlight, the concealer to highlight with. But then say, for instance, you got a pimple or, you know, a scar or something on your face, and you don't have anything to add that extra coverage to cover that scar. Well, you got to have something that's the color of your skin tone. So, I have a little, you can kind of see it, which one it is. So I have a little bit of the Pat McGrath left on my hand, and right below it, this is Amand by NARS. Hey, Amand by NARS, and it's creamier if I blend it out, and I'm actually just about to put it on my face, but it is my skin tone once I blend it out. And I always like to do added coverage around my mouth, because for some reason I have darkness around my mouth. So I don't want to highlight the darkness. I want to conceal it. I don't want people to see that it's dark around my mouth. So I use a concealer that is the shade of my skin tone to conceal. So see how it's not as dark around my mouth anymore, but it also isn't like bright, because I don't want to highlight that I have darkness around my mouth. I want to hide it. I want to conceal it. I want to hide it. If I had dark circles under my eyes, that's another thing. If you have dark circles under your eyes, you need a concealer that is the color of your skin tone to hide the dark circles. And then you can highlight on top of it. But you don't want to highlight dark circles before you hide them, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense to somebody. So if you look, what? You can't tell I had darkness around my mouth anymore. Now, again, and I'm only doing this to prove a point, and I'm definitely about to go after this because I'm going to be looking a whole hot mess. So say, for instance, I didn't have the concealer to kind of add that additional coverage, and I decided I wanted to use the highlighting concealer around my mouth. Then I'm going to be out here looking like I got a target around my mouth. See what I mean? Now, do y'all see that? It literally, like, all you can do now is focus on my mouth, and it just looks really, really bright. That's not hiding anything. So don't walk around with a highlight around your mouth or wherever you have dark circles. If you think, darkness, if you think about, and again, I'm fortunate and I'm blessed at this point that I don't have darkness under my eyes, but there are times where I have no sense. I have not had any sleep, rather, not no sense. Clearly ain't got no sense on why I got this. I'm sorry, I gotta fix this. I can't be talking to y'all looking like this. But if I had dark circles, and there's times where I hadn't gotten any sleep and I needed to conceal the dark circles around my eyes, then I had to pull out my concealer that was my shade tone, my skin tone, because I didn't want people to see that I hadn't slept. I wanted to conceal it. So, it's a process. So again, hopefully I helped somebody. Let me put a little powder around my mouth and fix this a little bit. And then I'm going to do a quick review, and then I'm going to get off of here. Okay, so real quickly. Hold on, let's pop on. Okay. Hold on, give me 1 second. Pop on the lip real quick, and then I'll give my review. Sorry, I'm a stickler about lips and lipstick and stuff. So, just to quickly review. Oh, that is orange. That is not what I want to pick up. We're just going to do a little gloss real quick. Okay, that's going to have to do. Okay, so just to review, different kinds of foundations serve different purposes. There are light coverage, there's BB creams, CC creams, all that stuff. You have to decide what your end result is and what you're trying to actually achieve to determine what kind of foundation you're actually going to use. Again, if you're looking for more of a natural look, or a natural look, then you want to get something that's medium coverage that will actually show some skin through. If you're wanting more of a flawless look, then you want to get something that's full coverage or medium to buildable, so you can have that versatility. When you go in the store, definitely try your best to try on the foundation. Test it on your chest. Test on your chest. That's what I want you to remember. Test on your chest. And again, the reason you're testing on your chest is because you want your face and your body to match. I completely understand that your face may be a different color than your body, but for the purpose of photographs and uniformity, you really truly want to make sure that your face and your chest match. What you want to do again is go in the store. You got a bunch of colors in front of you. Pick up the one that you feel like based on your site that you feel like is your eyeshadow, is your skin tone, not your eyeshadow, is your skin tone. You want to place that one in the center of your chest, and then you want to grab the one that's right before it and the one that's right after it, and you also want to put that on your chest. You want to grab your phone or have somebody take a picture of you with flash. When you take that picture with flash, one of those foundations should disappear. If all three of them you can still see, then you're in the wrong area. Go to a different section of those shades and start over again. Honestly, I went to a store one time real quickly, and I ended up with like 10 different shades across my chest, simply because at the end of the day, they ended up not having anything even close to matching me. But I eventually was able to kind of concoct something. So again, you want to take the flash, the one that disappears on your chest. That's the one you want to purchase. Again, there's different tools to use to put on your foundation. You can use beauty sponges. You can use different types of brushes to do it. Again, it's kind of a trial and error. There's no one certain brush that you have to use, but sometimes I will honestly put it on with this, and then I'll go in with this to kind of clean it up. So some stuff is going to be trial and error. I wish I had all these magic answers, but I don't. The other thing is, when you're at home and you're putting on your foundation, lighting matters. If you do not have a ring light or a area with good lighting, get in front of a window, especially if you're putting on your foundation during the daytime. Get in front of a window with some good sunlight coming in front of it and put your foundation on. Even if you don't put your eyeshadow and all that stuff on in front of the window, at least when the time comes for your foundation, put that on in front of a window. If this was 7 o'clock in the morning and I was putting on my makeup and I did a live, none of these lights really would be on. I would be using the sunlight that comes inside. That's how I'm also able to make sure that my foundation matches, is because I use natural sunlight, because in reality, when you're outside, that's the light that's shining on you. When you're taking your selfies in the car, it's the light from outside. So you want to make sure you're in the proper lighting. And also, as the seasons change, so should your foundation. Your skin tone changes, the atmosphere outside changes. So if it's hot, you may need a different type of foundation to hold up in that hot weather. If your skin is drier in the wintertime, then you're going to need a different foundation to moisturize and hydrate your skin. Primer is not a necessity, but primer is really good because it helps stick on that foundation and make it last the whole day. My personal favorite recommendation, whether you're dry or oily or combination or normal or whatever, is the Milk Hydro Grip foundation, Milk Makeup Hydro Grip foundation. It comes in a little sample size, and then it also comes in a big size. I always suggest get a little sample size and try it out. If you don't like it, try a different primer. I think I covered everything. Get samples. Again, I know it's hard right now with the Sephora and Ulta and all those stores being closed. So you may have to rely on like a drugstore brand to use foundation for your foundation right now. But get it, try it. If it doesn't work, take it back. Don't keep it. Please don't keep it, or give it to your best friend that it matches, but just don't keep it. I'd rather see you return it and have to do 3 different returns to get the right shade, but just don't keep a foundation that's not your shade, that it's serving you no purpose, and then that's wasting your money. But you can actually take makeup back in the store and just let them know, hey, this wasn't my shade. And hopefully what will happen in the future is a lot of these grocery stores, not grocery stores, but the Targets and the Walmarts will have an actual sample out there that you can try in the store, and that might help them to understand that, hey, we need samples in the store so that I won't have to keep bringing this back. So hopefully I helped you. I'm gonna film a more formal video explaining all these processes. If you have any questions, or if there's a topic you want me to cover, like, hey, I want to learn about eyebrows, or I want to learn about eyeshadow, I do have videos on my YouTube If you just go into YouTube and type in Cousin Chloe, all one word, don't put the space. If you put the space, it's some cartoon character that comes up. But if you put Cousin Chloe, all one word, all my videos have Cousin Chloe just as one word on there, and you can find me. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe so that you can be notified when I do upload new videos. I'm trying to ramp up my YouTube and put some videos on there at least once a week. I have a video now that I'm editing. I just put up a very natural 5-step simple makeup routine. I put that on there. So again, trying to get some content and help people. And last but not least, I am offering one-on-one virtual consultations. If you want to learn how to do your makeup, if you want to learn certain things about your makeup, I feel like the best way to learn is if I talk to you one-on-one, because I can sit here and tell you everything that works for me. But if I don't know what kind of skin you have or what you already have or what you know how to do, then a lot of times you're just going to be practicing in vain. So I do offer virtual through Zoom, FaceTime, Facebook Messenger. We basically video one-on-one, and I talk you through learning how to do your makeup. So that is a service that I do offer. So if you're interested, again, inbox me, message me. If you have my phone number, text me. I would be glad to help you out. I really love teaching people about makeup. I know a lot of people are interested, but nobody will take the time to teach them. So I'm very interested in teaching people. So again, I hope you learned something. Follow me on my Instagram page. I have 2 Instagrams, CousinChloe and then CousinChloeFAB, which is Face and Beyond. So I think that's it. I've said enough I hope you enjoyed, and please share this video with somebody that might need some help or is interested in learning about their foundation. I hope I helped somebody. All right, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. Stay safe, stay inside, practice on your makeup. And again, if you have any questions, call your cousin.